What is up, everybody? It is good to get back in the studio today to check out the Abbey Road 60s drummer library from Native Instruments in Kontakt. And the really cool thing about this library is it's, like all of their libraries, they're period specific. So they're recording all of the drums and all of the sounds using period-specific equipment. If you read through on the website and in the user manual, you can get a listing of all the microphones they're using, the mixing techniques that they're using, all of that cool stuff. Today, we're just going to play through some of the sounds, get a short demo of how the drums sound, how the various kits and mixer types sound. And I also want to kind of do a bit of a deep dive and show you guys how to change some of the various articulations. One of the techniques I'm really interested in particular is being able to change over the snare sound into a T-towel, what they call a T-towel sound, using a technique that they used to use in that period to record the snare sound with a T-towel covering the snare. So I'm going to do a deep dive to show us how to change over into that snare sound. And also, let's just start hearing what they sound like. So we're going to bring in the overheads, stereo and mono, which I had turned off. So we're going to jump into a more simplified approach and see what this sounds like. Already, I'm going to turn the hi-hat down a little bit. Just bring those down a little bit in the overall room and overhead mix. Sure, I'm going to need to do the same thing with the cymbals also. So let's go ahead and do that with the crashes. And of course, that can be done in the mixer itself as well, but in general, if you want to kind of control that, I've grown accustomed to just bringing those mix levels down in the overall overheads and room mixes. That just tends to tighten up the cymbals quite nicely. And then in general, for the mixer, I just want to crank those kicks and snares. So I think the hi-hats can come down just a little bit more. Let's bring them down. Let's tune them just a little. And then let's take a look at some of the various mixer types. Psychedelic rock happens to be one of my favorite ones. And where most of that's going to be coming from is actually the close mics. So we need to bring those down in the close mics dramatically, and then we can probably bring them back up in the overheads and in the rooms a little bit more to taste. But that... yeah, I'd like them to bloom a little bit. And so you can bring them back up in them. Much better. And that's got a killer room sound, overhead stereo sound. I mean, they recorded this in one of the big Abbey Road rooms, you know, so they just have a huge sound in there. Okay, so the deep dive I actually want to look at is learning how to change over some of the drum sounds so that they actually sound, you know, a bit different. So the snare, we're going to focus in on the snare. And you hear a little bit of bleed from the kick. And that's fine. But I'm just going to jump into the options. So in the options menu, then I'm going to change this to snare. And then I'm going to choose the articulation. And this is where you can choose that towel setting to have a little bit more of a deadened drum sound. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. This is where you can change those articulations to really be whatever you want. Have it be a roll, have it be a side stick, have it be a flam. And the difference between the center you know, the difference between this center and this towel, it's ever so subtle, but it's just got less ring, it's got less tail to it, so it's just a little more punchy. And so if that's what you're going for, that's going to give you a little bit more dead of a drum sound. Now if we focus on the kick, let's see what the kick articulations are. You got that felt option. So you have the options to change these sounds, you know, pretty dramatically. So you can do that within the options menu and change the articulation. And then you have also all of these controls here for the mixer. And various grooves. So really, really cool sounds with the Abbey Road 60s drummer. And yeah, if you would like to come in here and create some more dead drum sounds, just jump into the options menu and start playing around with some of the towel settings on the snares. There's also towel settings on the toms and various options. So just start digging in and having fun. And yeah, I can't wait to dig into this even more. Until next time.